Alrighty, guys. Good morning to you all here. It is Thursday, July 17th, 2025. I hope you guys are all doing well out there. And what you guys are seeing on your screen here is still Invest 93L. Is not expected to really become a tropical depression or storm. This is probably actually going to move inland by later on tonight through tomorrow morning. Just a lot of heavy rain coming to Louisiana here. We could see about 3 to 5 inches of rainfall, some higher spots of about 5 to 8, maybe 8 to 10 inches in some portions of southern Louisiana. But this did, in fact, fail in terms of becoming a named storm. And so we'll have to kind of wait for another system to develop and hold on to Dexter's name until we get another system in. We actually are watching potentially toward the end of the month, maybe our Atlantic brewing down way off the coast of Africa there. So as of right now, this is going to bring a lot of moisture to the United States. And the funny thing about some of the model runs that are, simulating this thing or showing this thing going into next week is basically we're going to have this moisture resurge and it's going to move back around off the coast of the Carolinas again potentially and bring more rain again. So this this pattern's going to be in place for quite some time for much of the Southeast. Get used to the rainfall, get used to the humidity, get used to the hot temperatures, because this is going to help keep those rainfall chances around through much of the next really 7 to 10 days here, maybe even beyond that point. So we're not expecting this to become really much of anything. If worst case scenario would happen, we get a tropical depression out of this before it moves inland. I just don't see that happening. Not a lot of low level spin with this, not a lot of organization, a very, very unimpressive storm, a very messy storm as of this morning here. So that's good news for you guys in the Southeast. Other than that, we're going to have a lot of rain. The rain is still going to be a big problem. You need to be watching for creeks, streams, and rivers. As always here, if you are in Louisiana, Mississippi, going up into Arkansas later on as this storm system does move in, but Louisiana will have the major impacts for heavy rainfall totals, and we'll kind of get into what those look like here again in just a little bit. But that's what our satellite imagery is showing us here this morning. Not too much in terms of impressiveness. You can actually see here where the low is at. It's just off the coast of New Orleans, so that low will be moving inland here in the not too distant future. And then you look at the shipping guidance models here, the intensity, not really looking at a tropical storm, maybe a tropical depression if worst case scenario were to happen before inland movement happens. But other than that, that's a good thing for you guys here in Louisiana. Like I said, we'll hold on. You can see where that low is going to track inland afterwards. Going to move up here into Arkansas, more than likely bring some rain up here into the southeast, and then eventually do a loop-de-loop, and we'll probably have this moisture return as we go toward the beginning of next week. So that's what we've got here on the tropics here, National Hurricane Center, but lowered those chances here for a tropical system from 40 to 30 overnight, and now this morning they're keeping that at 30-30. So still a small chance of a tropical depression developing here, but looks like we're not going to see a named storm before this in fact gets its self inland here. So that is good news here. We'll talk about what those rainfall totals and all that here looks like here in just a few moments. I want to start out with the Storm Prediction Center outlook here for today. Not a lot of severe weather, not widespread severe weather. We do have a marginal risk of severe weather here that goes from basically the four corners back through the central plains here and up into the northeast. There is a small 2% tornado risk up here into the northeast today for an isolated shot. I'm seeing a brief tornado, very weak tornado today. Mostly everybody else here in that marginal risk that extends from the Rockies all the way through the Ohio River Valley and up in the northeast is going to be in the chance for damaging winds and hail. Last night we had a storm complex that came through, and we had a beautiful shelf cloud last night around 11 p.m. that came through. I'll show you guys that picture on stream later on tonight whenever we do our weather live stream. Speaking of live streams as well, I don't plan on doing any weather coverage now that we're going to be seeing this thing really pretty much be a rainmaker. I'll have a weather update for you guys later on tonight. We'll talk about the rainfall totals, all that stuff. I'll probably actually end up doing maybe a game stream later on this afternoon as well. But other than that, we'll do some weather talk. We'll get some updates out to you guys, but not a lot of severe weather going to be happening today. Not really going to be too much of an issue tomorrow. We'll start to see that pattern return here as we go into next week, where we start to see a ridge set up. The biggest thing is going to be a big heat dome that's going to be setting up as we go into next week here, going into the end of this week and into next week, and really through the month of July here and going into August. The probably going to see the hottest temperatures that we've seen in quite some time. We've also got a marginal and a slight risk back up here into the high plains here in Montana, getting up into North Dakota and South Dakota. There is also a wind and a hail threat as well. Looking at a small 2% tornado risk up here in the northeast. Wind threat everywhere else at 15 and 5% for winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. And we do have a hail threat up here for hail 1 to 2 inches in diameter up in the high plains and back down into the Rockies. We get to tomorrow's outlook here as well, and not a lot going on severe weather-wise. A small marginal risk back up here into the Midwest and upper plains again. Same applies here to the East Coast. We're looking at a wind and a hail threat with a small 2% tornado risk from southern Minnesota back up into portions of northwest Iowa, northeast Nebraska, and southeast South Dakota. Wind threat also at 5% for both regions here for winds up to 60 miles per hour, and then the hail threat is at 5%. So we'll see if tomorrow gets bumped up to a slight risk with the wind threat. Wouldn't rule it out here. We'll get those updates later on this afternoon, but as of right now, damaging winds, an isolated tornado, and a hail threat will be primarily the threats for you guys tomorrow in the plains. And then we get to the day 3 outlook, and this is going to be for your Saturday here. We're already talking about the weekend already, which is crazy, but another marginal risk that extends from the high plains all the way back to the Ohio River Valley here, where we'll see what's going to be called as northwesterly flow setting up, and we'll talk about what that looks like here in just a a moment. I want to go ahead and briefly talk about what we're going to be seeing here across each region today. Montana, you'll see a couple instances of maybe a couple brief supercells firing off here. You can't rule out an isolated tornado, but with these northwesterly flowing events, it depends on outflow boundaries and mesoscales, and we're just not going to have probably a big outflow boundary in place. So I wouldn't be shocked to see a couple severe thunderstorm warnings for hail and wind today if storms do get going in this area. Do be weather aware. This is going to be about 1 o'clock this afternoon to about 11 p.m. tonight that we'll be seeing that, and then that'll be pushing through the area pretty quickly here. We'll go to the northeast, talk about what we're going to be seeing up here for this afternoon as well. You guys can see showers and storms here will be moving through this afternoon. A brief chance of an isolated tornado with that front moving through, but really not a lot of coverage. So most of that will be confined towards the upper plains but the upper northeast peninsula here, and then getting up into southern Canada. So just be weather aware if you're up here into Maine, New York. We'll keep you guys updated on that. If anything crazy or any tornado warnings happen, we'll be here to cover that. We'll also talk about the Ohio River Valley as well today, where we do have that marginal risk. We're going to see a lot of weather coverage or a lot of storm coverage today with that marginal risk. So, seeing those supercells fire off around the Ohio River here later on this afternoon around 4 to 5 o'clock. We'll be moving those storms in, and then another round of storms will come through the evening hours again around 11 p.m. to midnight across Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana here. So I wouldn't be shocked to see a small slight risk get introduced. I don't know what SPC will do with this on the next update. That'll be in about 45 minutes to an hour. So if they do that, I might make a video to give you guys an update on that, but wouldn't be shocked to see that with the coverage that'll be coming in here overnight and this afternoon. So we'll keep you guys updated. Damaging winds and hail will be the primary threat. Really not looking at too much of a tornado risk. And then we'll see more storms fire off again over the next couple of days over the Ohio Valley. And we do need to watch for a complex of storms that might start to make its way into the picture as we go into Friday and Saturday. And we'll talk more about that in tomorrow's video and in the stream tonight. Let's talk about what we're going to be seeing here over the next couple of days with our weather pattern here. And I mentioned we've got a trough over here moving across the Great Lakes, troughing moving in out of Canada here. You've got a low that's spinning down here in Louisiana, which is what's part of that tropical system. Kind of got some wavy small streaks of jet in here, as I guess the word I'll use. We've got some small mesoscale days that could be introduced here over the next couple of days, but not really anything too significant. We get through the weekend here, we get into the weekend here, and we're going to start to see zonal flow. We're going to start to see a ridge develop down here as well into the Ohio River Valley, where our temperatures next week are going to skyrocket. When I say skyrocket, we're going to be in the 90s, triple digits, and we're going to see heat indexes next week that are going to be pushing the 100s, plus probably into the 110s, maybe even 115. So this probably will be one of our hottest next 2 to 3 weeks that we're going to see all year long, and that says something because we already had a heat dome back in June that caused the same problem. But this is going to be just relentless heat when our dew points are pushing the upper 70s or in the 80s. It's going to just be gross, guys. It's going to be really, really gross next week. So that heat dome will be locked in next week very significantly, and then we'll have another one set up potentially toward the end of the month here. But you see that ridge setting up down in the southeast, down in the plains here, down in the Ohio River Valley. We could see a shortwave trough potentially move its way through on Monday and Tuesday, maybe some organized severe weather across the high plains again going into Monday and Tuesday. Outside of that, that'll move across the Great Lakes, and then we start to see a really interesting pattern set up, and this is what concerns me as we go toward the end of the month here and beginning of August. This is a little ways out. We're still watching it. You guys know that, but depending on how strong this high pressure is down here in the Ohio River Valley, or if it shifts or moves around, we could start to see northwesterly flow set up, and on top of northwesterly to westerly to easterly flow, you get severe weather, and that's something that's going to be a big issue. We'll have lots of instability. The dew points will be there, so won't be lacking anything in terms of severe weather. It's just if there's enough shear here, we could see multiple mesoscale days as we go toward the end of next week. And even as that ridge sets up, there is also, we could, this is, 10 days out here. We'll watch this, but some of the models like the GFS here are hinting at potentially, another tropical system off the East Coast and then moving up to the Northeast. We'll watch that. I'm not really too much into that right now just because it's so far out. But then I want you guys to see something. As we go toward the end of the month here, that high pressure really sets up, and this is where we start to get into that talk of potential windbag events, those derecho setups. We get these high pressure heat domes that set up in the plains, ridge or troughing over top of the ridge. You get what's called significant damaging wind events that typically ride up over top of that ridge. So this is a pattern I'm watching very closely as we go toward the end of the month, to the first week of August. So I don't think a lot of severe weather will be a big problem in the next couple days. It'll be as we go toward the end of the month, as we start to see those MCSs potentially set up here. So just something I'm noting as we go toward the end of the month, and it really looks like that pattern will lock in, especially as we go toward the first week of August. But once again, you're over 200 to 300 hours out, so we'll watch the models here and kind of just see what will happen over the next little bit here. This is also the temperature anomalies. I want to show you guys this as well, just because this gives us an idea of, cold and warm air. Right now we've got a little bit of a cooler average trend across the plains and the high plains right now in the Midwest, and then we're going to see that heat dome set up next week, and you can see all this oranges and reds popping up here, just above average temperatures for much of the United States, the southeast quadrant, the Ohio River Valley, the upper plains, and then we'll start to see an even bigger heat wave set up as we get toward the end of the month, where we're really just going to be ridged out. This would be a mega trough, or not a mega trough, but a mega heat dome that will be setting up here, where temperatures are going to skyrocket pretty significantly. I think this will probably be where we see the hottest weather of the year going into the end of the month and first week of August here. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. One more thing I will run over, because we need to talk about those rainfall totals down in the southeast here. The rainfall totals have backed off just a little bit. Models are indicating about 1 to 3, 3 to 5 inches of rain back down here along the Gulf Coast, especially down in Louisiana. Could see some higher pockets of 5 to 8 inches of rain. What I really want to pay attention to is this up here. This is the models have been signaling this for the last couple of days. The Ohio River Valley, Kentucky, Illinois, Indiana. We need to start to watch for potential flooding issues as thunderstorms continue to train each day here. As we see these mesoscale days pop up, as we see just in general thunderstorms train with no movement, this could start to be an issue. So 3 to 5 inches of rain over the next 7 days here potentially for portions of the lower Ohio Valley. We'll keep you guys updated on that. High pressure dominating in the plains down here in North Texas, giving things a lot drier down in South Texas, where they need to recover from all the flooding they've had down there. So that is good. General thunderstorms for much of the United States with rainfall totals around 1 to 3 inches, and then a high pressure off the west coast there. So we'll keep you guys updated in the future here. Also, I'm super excited to announce as well, you guys can see probably on the thumbnails here over on YT, we'll be having some new graphics, stuff like that. I'm learning how to make graphics, learning how to implement better things into the thumbnails and stuff, and just video quality in general. So hope you guys enjoy it as well. That's just some things that are needed on the channel here to make things pop and make things go a little bit better. But other than that, we will see you guys in the next video tomorrow. I'll have a live stream potentially later on tonight. If we need to get on, we can. But other than that, guys, be safe, be weather aware, and we'll see you guys in the next one.